So rightfully so, many of you here at YouTube want to get my thoughts on the new hire at the University of Texas. And I wanted to give it a couple of days to kind of sink in, kind of really get my thoughts on everything. And as the days have gone by, I have to tell you, I like this move even more and more. I really liked it when it first happened. I know the whole Saban talk and all that kind of stuff. I've explained to you guys before that I really didn't like that stuff because I knew that I had a feeling Saban's not coming to Texas, and more than likely it's going to be thrown back in Longhorns fans' face, like how you didn't get your guy, whatever. For me, though, my guy was always David Shaw. That was the guy I felt like I wanted to have at Texas. But Charlie Strong was right there in my top guys. And so when Strong got here, I was more than happy. And I feel like he's a culture change. He is a different kind of mindset than Mac. Mac is your more media savvy guy. He's the more huggy guy. He's the guy who they call it. There's a reason people refer to as Grandpa Mac, and that really did work for Texas. He brought Texas together as a family, and for 16 years built a tradition that in the end just couldn't continue to be lived up to. With Strong, you get more of an X's and O's guys. You get a guy who can get his hands dirty with the guys, and really you see how intense he is. And I mean the stories you hear of how tough he is on those guys. I think that's what needs to be at Texas, because that's one thing that has been said about the Horns for the last few years is not just that they're not winning games, but that they're soft. And that's something that really needs to get away from. And also with Strong, he has the credentials. He was defensive coordinator under Urban Meyer, won a couple national championships. Defensive coordinator under Lou Holtz at South Carolina, coached with him at Notre Dame as well. The guy is definitely, and then he went going into Louisville, which at the time was nothing, and turned it into a very respectable football program. I mean, that was a team. I mean, lost 2 games last year, lost 1 game this year. Now, granted, Louisville is not in a great conference, but the thing was, Louisville wasn't a very good team before he got there. And to see that turnaround is a lot of credit what Charlie did out there. And also the fact that he got a guy like Teddy Bridgewater to come with him to Louisville after he committed to other Florida schools. And, of course, there's that Florida connection, that maybe there's a way that Charlie can go in and get some of those top recruits out of Florida to come to Texas, although he made it perfectly clear in his press conference that he is planning on really trying to put a stamp here on the state of Texas, and that the battle for the on the football field is going to start in recruiting base here in Texas, and he knows that. But you know what? One of the things that really did actually maybe even more so like this hire is that the more you hear out of Austin, the more you hear about what went down, that this was a Steve Patterson move. And this was a move not supported by the boosters. And for me, I love that. And you can actually see that from, if you know, Red McComb's comments recently, which are, they speak for themselves if you want to say that. But, when he talked about, and I know that John Gruden was Red McComb's guy, but when he said that Strong would be he's a fine coach. I think he'd be a good positions coach, maybe a coordinator, but not the head coach at one of the best universities in the country. That's what those comments are. But I think that's pretty ignorant to say that he'd be a positions coach when he's for years clearly performed at a championship level as a coordinator, but as a head coach for 4 years worked to turn a program around. The guy's got the qualifications. I did a story about him on the news, just kind of going through what his qualification would be here at Texas. So I'm excited to see. And like I said, this is not the thing about Charlie though, is that it's not the slam dunk name hire, and that's the one thing that I guess you want to put a drawback. Is that every year Strong is up for a big time coaching position, but he's not the name of Nick Saban or Urban Meyer or those kind of guys. And what I will say is, he's one of those tough-minded head coaches who's very hard on the players, expects them to respond. The thing is, though, and like I said, this is one of those things we're going to have to see how this team responds. Because when you have one of these kinds of coaches, a coach who is very demanding, who is very hard on the guys and pushes them to the limit, if those guys don't respond, then you don't have a very good football team and you find yourself out pretty quick. But if you do have a group of guys who will respond to that type of coaching and will buy into his mentality, man, I really think something special can happen here in Texas. And so I'm really looking forward to this season. I don't know what's going to happen next season. I have absolutely no idea what Texas is going to look like, whether they're going to be better, worse, whatever. What I want to see, though, is will the culture change be apparent? Will we be able to see a more tough-minded football team? One thing I also like is the fact that most defensive coaches who are head coaches, whether it's a Rex Ryan or a Muschamp or guys like that, when they come in on offense, they usually run a very conservative offense because they don't want to put their defense in a bad position. Strong, on the other hand, ran the spread at Louisville. And that's something that when we ran it right at Texas was pretty successful. Just ask Vince Young and Colt McCoy how they like that. So, we'll see what happens. I'm on board. I think Charlie Strong's a great hire for Texas. I'm looking forward to what he can do here. And we'll see. I'm getting very excited. These past couple of years have just been really just even throughout this season when we were in the Big 12 hunt, whatever that was. As I said before, it was all mirage. Just didn't feel right. The team was not growing, that kind of thing. I'm really excited about it now. I want to kick off right now. I want to see what happens next season just to see what this team looks like. So I'm on board. Are you guys on board? So Texas fans, do you think this is a good hire for Texas? Do you think Charlie Strong will add to it? And opposing fans, OU fans, A&M fans, Tech, whatever, do you think this is a mistake by Texas? Do you think that this is not the right move? I don't know. Let's hear what you have to say. So I'm excited, and we'll see what happens. So hook 'em horns, Texas fight, and let's stay Texas strong. I'm gonna do that more than often. Texas strong. If he keeps winning, I'm gonna do that. Hook 'em.